Folks, we're gonna wait for everyone to get on board, and then we're gonna get started. Make this a relatively quick one. Before I get started, like I said, I'm gonna let everyone come on board first. Man, looks like we got a slow crowd today. We'll give it a few. Check my signal. No, I got pretty strong reception, so oh, Eric M is okay, so I got people on board. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, man. And I'm this is typically something that I don't even bother addressing, but I've seen it a few times, so I you know, the petty spirit in me sometimes wants to awaken, and I have no problem doing battle with the trolls. But the reason why I'm going to address this is because if you're new to the channel and you've seen some of this rhetoric, it may deter you from the message that me and others are trying to put out, right? So there was a troll that some goofball that came in the comments the other day, right? And I know this is way beyond me, but this is also going to serve as a friendly reminder as to what has come to pass. And I hate doing this because it's going to sound like I'm bragging, right? And I don't want to do that, but I kind of have to lay it out there so folks understand, right? I've had a few people come in the comment section and tell me, T, you're wrong. You've been wrong about everything. You know, XRP is worthless. And you know, when I see that, it makes me, you know, maybe it's a weird little autistic quirk that I have, or that, but I can't let it go, right? Like, and so my mental Rolodex starts, you know, going bananas, and I'm like, well, wait a second. So we're gonna take it back to the beginning, the Facebook days, when I was doing content with Kurt years ago, and we're gonna discuss some of the things that I stated were likely going to happen alongside him and what actually came to pass. So one of the things that we called early on during our Facebook content creating days was, and there are plenty of you in here who followed us in that XRP is the future group and saw these conversations that we were having. One of the first topics that we covered were institutions demonizing exchanges and essentially setting up infrastructure to absorb them, right? And that has come to pass, right? Institutions are, you know, regulatory bodies are demonizing decentralized exchanges at this point. Your Binances, your Qcoins, and many others, right? That's happened. And there is going to be a push for absorption regarding major institutions and control over these exchanges. You can already see the rhetoric coming out. We also stated that there would need to be some sort of a catastrophic conflict-related event to escalate or to accelerate essentially the passing of stablecoin regulations, and that's happening as well regarding the Binance attack at CZ, linking them to the Hamas terrorist group. That is the conflict, right? We touched on there needing to be a situation regarding shying away from Nostro Vostro replacement, or not shying away from the replacement, but moving towards the replacement, that there would need to be a catalyst where countries didn't trust one another's currencies. That happened, right? It's happening as we speak. You see the BRICS nations trading locally within their own currencies, right? You see the migration off of the petrodollar, and you see the US Treasury bonds that were flooded back into the United States by several nations, right? That's another thing. Now here's the granddaddy of them all, right? Since, you know, T has been wrong about everything. If I'm not mistaken, I think I was one of the only ones who came out and didn't just say XRP is an ISO token. I was the one that came out and said, well, wait a second, let's do a whiteboard on this and show ultimately how ISO 20022 FIN messages would correlate with SWIFT and then interact with distributed ledger technology and the ledger's native asset for the purpose of transmitting value, right? When everyone was laughing at me and saying that I was wrong then, right? That happened, right? We know DallyPay, amongst a few others, had come out regarding ISO 20022 crypto interop and stated that they would indeed be adopting ISO 20022 messaging formats to correspond with the XRP ledger specifically for SMEs, small and medium institutions, for the purpose of cross-border payments. But I was wrong about that. Let's go down the Rolodex again and reference the whiteboards that I had done. If I'm not mistaken, and you guys remember, those of you who are longtime followers of the channel, I think I touched on Stellar adopting smart contract infrastructure and adding it to their blockchain, if I'm not mistaken. And then a week later, week and a half later, or no, that was a week later, Stellar came out and made the official announcement. I think in the whiteboard, I also touched on Overledger providing direct support or having a direct relationship with the XDC network. That was a week and a half later, where the Overledger website made the official announcement. I also think, if I'm not mistaken, that years ago, when this lawsuit first dropped, now I'm not the smartest man in the world, but I think I remember back in 2020, December 24th or 28th, doing a post on Facebook telling people not to worry, unofficially buy some more XRP, and the only thing that they'd be able to deem institutional sales-wise, or the only thing they'd be able to deem securities would be the institutional sales of XRP, that the token itself would never be deemed a security. What was I wrong about again? And everyone cried and panicked. Well, not you guys, but a lot of people cried and panicked that, oh, XRP is going to be a security. He's not a lawyer. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah. I think Kurt said it. I think I said it. I think Crypto 901 said it. I think Val said it. I think Jimmy Vallee said it when we had our tabletop with Linda P. Jones and Verson. I think we all said it before the actual lawsuit was concluded. Oh, what was the other thing that we were talking about that Neil Hartner, Matt Hamilton, Bob Way, Quincy Jones, and Daniel Edon corroborated? Not necessarily that XRP as a public platform would be required to be integrated with every single private permissioned ecosystem regarding DLT, but that you would see a world where private and public chains would interoperate with one another. I had people smarter than all of us corroborating that theorization. So, with that being said, if you're on my channel and you see comments saying, well, T's wrong about everything, ask yourself, well, what has he been wrong about? And then ask the person to explain it. Otha Mitchell said, I remember, been riding with you, bro. See, I'm going to explain to you human psychology and what you're witnessing when you see rhetoric like that from people towards me. What you're seeing is mental, a lack of mental fortitude. You're seeing emotions, and you're seeing immature behavior coupled with deep-rooted insecurities regarding the investment and their lack of knowledge regarding it, right? The people who are saying I'm wrong have no clue what they're invested in, what they've been invested in, or what's going on in this space. I could be a douchebag and go further about what I've been right about, but we're going to cut it off there because it's going to get into humble brag territory, and I don't want to do that. The whiteboard is probably still up at the old gig on that conference room. No, I erased it. But the whiteboard videos are still here. Like I said, they're just private. All those videos are still here. And when the time is right, I'm going to re-release them and make them public again. But I'm doing this, like I said, I'm going to stop there because there's been more that I've been right about. When you see people say that I've been wrong about everything, number one, it's a lack of understanding of the space because, and I hate to be that guy to say that people don't understand what the hell they're looking at, but I'm going to have to can the humility for a second and just say it. They don't understand what the hell they're looking at, right? And it doesn't mean that non-technical or non-IT people can't understand, but this space is information technology, period. What they're not understanding and the root of their anger behind their comments and their hatred towards me is really rooted outside of the things that I named earlier and the lack of price appreciation. And this is where it gets even more idiotic. What they're also not realizing is that what did I tell people about price appreciation, significant price appreciation regarding the asset, that you wouldn't see it until when? I'm going to have to do the freaking patent catchphrase again for like the 100th time. Folks, anything could happen at any given time. But if you don't see lawsuit resolution, regulatory clarity, classification, and legislation regarding digital assets, you won't see what? Say it with me, class. Any movement. Have I not been saying that for years? Now, we've seen partial lawsuit resolution, but obviously Chris and Brad still have those personal cases against them, right? Is that wrapped up yet? No, it's not. Do we have a strong and stable foundation for regulatory clarity and certainty? No, we don't. Do we have global legislation and cooperation regarding regulations? No, we don't. I've done my best to be nicer and to not be condescending, and to do my best to be understanding of people's emotions and their fragility in this space and their fear and their lack of understanding. But you know what, man? Some of you are just goddamn stupid. Okay, if that's your perspective. I hate to say it. All right, what's going on? Hey, man, just speaking a little bit of truth. Some of you are stupid, man. Like, and I don't like to call people that, right? But if you're gonna attack me, have some substantiated facts. Show a list. Say, hey, T, you said this was gonna happen and it didn't. No one's been able to do that. And you know why no one's been able to do that? Because it's not true. B-Rush said, laugh out loud, told y'all, watch the Binance story. Well, and you know what's so, and I'm going to tell you what's screwed up, man. You know what's so screwed up is that people, I'm going to tell you, a lot of people in this space are very narcissistic and very entitled. And you see it come out in situations where, and I'm not even going to name names, but you'll have people who constantly force feed this space information, whether they even understand the context of the information they're putting out or not, right? And they've been wrong, right? You're taking documents out of context that are technological in nature. You don't understand what they're really saying, You attach dates and say definitively that there will be movement and usage on this time. It doesn't happen, but as long as they keep pumping that information out and keep triggering and targeting those dopamine receptors in everyone, all is forgiven. I say something that's right and then turn around and say regarding movement, you're not going to see it unless the legalities are ironed out. And then suddenly I've been wrong about everything. But I can name about 5 influencers who have attached real world dates to it and no one said anything to them. That's interesting. That's really interesting. You got people batting 0 for 20, and I've pretty much called, and I'm not the only one that's called it, right? It's been a collective of us, but we've been kind of knocking it out of the park here regarding what's coming down the pipeline. And those who have been longtime followers of me, Kurt, B-Rush, Chico, Chris Bennett, Crypto 901, Baggins, etc., know that we've kind of been on point here. It's because we're not constantly force-feeding you bullshit to give you the feel-goods. And so people get upset, and then they, in their own delusional minds, take what we've said, spin our narratives, and twist our words to fit their desires, essentially, and then turn around and get mad. It's the equivalent of riding a bike, pointing at someone laughing, pulling a stick out of your pocket, putting it through the spokes of the bike, falling over, and saying, "You did this to me." Yeah, that's exactly what you see in the crypto space. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this, you know? Love you guys too, man. And I don't mind helping you guys out. Yeah, Twitter's toxic too, but whatever. Twitter's fun. I get to troll the trolls. Get out of here. So yeah, as far as the X assets look, this is like I said earlier, all right? There's really no need, and this is why I don't do content. It has nothing to do with I've been wrong or I'm hiding from anyone. The reason why I don't do content that much anymore is because there's not much left to say. You guys are literally watching the stuff that we've been talking about. You know, the most obnoxious stuff happens to me when I'm doing lives. Like the loudest trucks, the biggest windstorms, the most rain. I'm like, really? It's crazy. I actually got to go in here into another office and take care of some stuff. I got a little bit of time, so I figured I'd come out here. I'm at work. But I figured I'd give you guys a quick video. I'm out here running work errands, basically. But there's really not much to say. As far as tokens, you know, if it ain't XRP, XLM, XDC, Quant, IOTA, Algorand, HBAR, I don't know if I said XSP already, maybe even a GBEX, I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, I'm not. I told you guys before, you guys out here that are spreading yourself between like 20 different assets are in the wrong, period. You once said that God showed, oh no, that was Jackie McRae that you're talking about when you said, you once said that God showed your cup into which was poured endlessly, that you will become rich. Could you tell me more about it? Thank you. That was actually so there's a apostle named Jackie. She's a friend of a friend, basically. And that was years and years ago. She had a conversation with me. I was going through a really hard time, tough time. And I was, as a matter of fact, I think I was an unemployed student at the time. I was still in college then. And you know, I mean, it was a bunch of personal stuff. Just, I mean, it was a dark time. And one of the things she had told me was that two of the things she stated pretty much came true, but there was one last thing that she had quote unquote prophesized, and she said that she had seen a vision with me sitting in front of some sort of a golden goblet or wine glass, and someone was pouring wine in it, and it overflowed and it wouldn't stop. So we'll see what that means, right? Need your content to explain a lot of this for us non-techies who are still tadpoles in the space. Passive income, I've been touching on that. Like I said, as far as I've geared away from talking about the tech I've done whiteboards. We've spent countless hours between me, Kurt, and Baggins kind of breaking it down. You got other folks out there, even from the other perspectives, common sense, macroeconomics, etc., breaking it down. There's so much information out there at this point. I don't think there's really much of a need anymore. I could do an updated whiteboard, and I've played around with the notion of doing that because I've learned more as time has gone on, right? And I've been able to connect even more dots. But that would be, you're talking about like close to a 5 or 6 hour whiteboard video, and the board would be ginormous, and I'd have to actually erase. It'd be like a multi-session thing. Like I'd have to start, it would fill up, I'd have to erase it, continue, or get multiple whiteboards and kind of link them together to show how everything would interconnect. And here comes that obnoxious truck again. Let me give it a sec. Oh, thanks, man. All right, David, you already know. So yeah, but here's the thing. Even with that, you guys are in the right assets at the right time. It just doesn't feel like it, right? And it is cliche, but it's because you're early. And when people say you're early, that means you're in an unregulated space. Like, you're not going to see an influx of huge amounts of institutional capital. You'd have to be out of your damn mind to take billions of dollars and throw it into an unregulated space, unless you were doing something nefarious and had hookups and pull behind the scenes. Ethereum, Bitcoin. But yeah, aside from that, yeah, if you don't have that type of a setup with specific assets outside of those two, you're not going to feel comfortable dumping money into them, right? Unless those assets are being used for whatever purposes by the powers that be, and there's some sort of a buy-off or green light. Common sense, folks. So that's why XRP, XLM, Quant, Algo, IOTA, XDC, etc. are, all at the bottom right now, because those are utility-based assets that need regulation attached to them. And I'm not just talking about built-in regulations for third parties that may use them via an API. No, I'm talking about actual legislation. Things need to be made a matter of law regarding mass utilization before you see that influx of institutional capital. I will not explain this again. Okay. I'm probably one of the nicest and most patient people in the space, but my patience is worn thin with that, because I've said it over 1,000,000 times that until you see it, people will still argue with me, and they'll still wonder why the price is sitting at the bottom of the barrel, right? That's why. Okay, relax. All right, it has nothing to do with the lack of quality within the assets. It has to do with the lack of quality regarding the regulatory framework associated with the asset class. You haven't seen it yet. It hasn't happened. Okay, so no, this has nothing to do with being right or wrong. We've called I don't know how many different things that have come into fruition. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with legalities needing to be ironed out. Okay, and I think now with the Hamas situation in Israel and them, linking Binance to terrorist grade activities and nefarious dealings using a decentralized exchange, Mr. B. Rush and a few others, Kurt, I could go down the list, have talked about Tether being something else we were talking about years ago. How about that? Didn't Kurt just send me something about some craziness regarding Tether last night? Yeah. Funny, but T was wrong about that too. Kurt was wrong about that too. We were all wrong about the impending Tether doom that was going to come into fruition. Well, guess what? The Hamas used to transmit funds over Binance. Oh, that's right. Tether. What do you think happens to Bitcoin? What do you think happens to the market when Tether is regulated out of existence, potentially, and Binance is absorbed behind the scenes? Dude, listen. Like I said, you're going to see a lot of hatred towards me, and I get it. I would hate me too if I were them, right? You're going to see a lot of hatred towards others in our community, because you have crybaby, impatient, entitled, narcissistic people that don't understand the space or what they're invested in, and they want price action yesterday. And because they didn't get it when they wanted it, They're going to pout. They're going to assassinate people's characters or try to and put out garbage rhetoric. Okay. But like I said, if you've been following the space and you've been following us that I named, you know we've been on point. So don't sweat that. Like I said, it's garbage. People will say anything, you know, behind the safety of a keyboard. We know how that goes. I remember a video you did a while back saying you don't think it will take till 2025 for everything to come into fruition. Hopefully we see the ball rolling in 2024. I think 2025 at the latest for things to get started. I'll be honest. And that's not me saying definitively. It's my opinion based off of the potential accelerants that we're seeing that would lead to an environment where these things need to be regulated. You got babies getting beheaded? Yeah, they're going to accelerate some stuff, whether they engineered it or not. At that point, they're going to come in and act like the saviors and, oh, bad USD tether, bad stable coins, bad exchanges, bad. We're here to save the day, even though our major institutions decided to get involved in other people's freaking business. And now we have babies getting their heads chopped off. They don't care. These guys are ruthless. But that was the storm that they needed, essentially, to come out and make it a matter of national security and saving lives. Crypto should not be the epicenter of all of this. But it is. And that should tell you exactly where we're headed. You got people dying. You got kids getting murdered, man. And crypto just magically comes into the conversation. Same with Russia and Ukraine. Come on, man. So do I think it takes till 2025? No. I think, honestly, they probably pass regulations this year. Oh, and it just so happens conveniently that I think MiCA goes into effect next year. In Europe. What does that tell you? So could it take longer than 2025? Sure. Right? Is it my opinion that it does? No. So on that note, let me get on in here, take care of these errands. I may be back a little bit later. Like I said, don't believe the bullshit that you hear out here, guys. People are going to say all types of just stupid mess about those of us who are out here doing our best. Half of us not even monetized, trying to put out information for all of you guys to make sense of all the craziness that's going on around you. All right, stay focused. And like I said, if anyone, don't argue with them. If you see trolls pop out with that type of dumbass rhetoric, just ask them, well, what's he been wrong about? What have any of them been wrong about? Tell us. And then see the answer that you get, right? And I tell you, if there is some stuff we've been wrong about, it ain't much. So on that note, you guys take care. Like I said, I'm going to go here and take care of this stuff. And I'll check in with you guys later. Signing out.